Alright, welcome to Baking Bread with Mr. England. Alright, today we're going to make some artesian open hearth bread. Okay, my idea behind doing this is we have time, we need to social distance. I'm saving money on antiperspirant, which is good, but it's a difficult time. But we do want to stay away from each other. So my idea is to show you how to bake bread in less than 10 minutes, so I need to get going. But there's spots all along the way which we can show science with the bed breaking. So I may allude to those, but hopefully I'll organize it so that after you watch this video you can go back and learn a little bit more about either washing hands, yeast, rising process, glutens, all sorts of great science stuff. But I want to make this video so you can bake bread in 10 minutes, although it will take 6 hours to actually do it. To show you how in about 10 minutes. So here we go. Alright, so first, open hearth bread. So this is traditional. Okay, traditionally they bake the bread on wood fueled hearths. So this is old-fashioned, okay, rudimentary. You only need 4 ingredients. And here's what they are. Okay. Okay, to make 2 good loaves, all you need is 6 cups of flour, plus actually you'll need a little bit more than that. You'll need 2 or 3 more cups, and you'll see that later on. 2½ teaspoons of yeast, which is just one of those little dry packets you can buy at the grocery store. 2½ tablespoons of salt. Original recipe I had was 2 tablespoons salt, but my wife loves salt and it gives it a little more flavor, so 2½ tablespoons is what I use. And then 4 cups of warm water. Again, all those things, they can have many lessons, which hopefully I'll do in the future if this works out. So, let's get to work. Okay, I wanted to wear this long sleeve shirt so I could roll up my sleeves like all those politicians when they say get to work. So, here we go. First thing is make sure you wash your hands really well, which actually I've already done already to condense on time. Okay, so let's start off. We got flour. Okay, you want to use, if you have bread flour, it works better. It has a lot of gluten in it, which gives it more elasticity. There's a lesson in there. So, but today I'm just going to use regular flour because it works also. So 6 cups of flour. Again, I'm going to be adding more flour later on, so I'm not going to worry about measuring precisely. And again, lose track of my cups. I think that's 6. If not, we'll make adjustments. Okay, then what I'd like to do is put all the dry ingredients first. Doesn't matter if I put the salt in first, the yeast. So 2 tablespoons, 2½ tablespoons of salt. 1, 2, and I don't have to measure that precisely. I'm a scientist, but 2½. There we go. And then the yeast, again, you can use those dry packs, or I just have this. It's more economical, and I'm Scottish, so some people say I'm cheap, but I'm just efficient. Adding more yeast will not help it rise more. Okay, here we go, there's the yeast. Again, another mini lesson on yeast if you do that. Then what I like to do is I like to stir it up before I add the warm water. So I'll stir it up a little bit here. Just get them mixed up first. Okay, then you add the warm water. Hope I don't break anything. Now, warm water. If it's too cold, it won't rise very well. If it's too hot, you kill the yeast. You want it so that you can tolerate it on your wrist. You can use a thermometer. If you want to, if you get a thermometer, get it around just a little over 100 degrees or about 100 degrees. Okay, that's good right there. But again, just your wrist. If it's too hot for your wrist, it's too hot for the yeast, and you'll kill the yeast. So again, 4 cups. And again, it makes it more exciting if you're not too precise. Got to be precise in the classroom, but here you don't. And again, We're in America, so we use tablespoons, teaspoons instead of grams. So we can do little conversions later, but most recipes have that, so we'll have to use old English, not metric. Okay, so I'm going to stir it up really well here. Okay, and get a nice mix. Now it's going to be watery still, and this is where, once you get it mixed up, you're going to add more flour until you get to a nice consistency. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to keep adding flour until I get so I can't really stir it anymore, and I'll have to take it out and put it onto a floured surface. Alright, so I think probably at this time I'm going to take a couple minutes just to get this worked in really well. But you can see what I'm doing. Just continue this, adding flour a little bit at a time until it solidifies up, and it's maybe a little tacky, but it gets a little harder too. Good workout. Okay, combination of physical exercise. Again, some people cheat and use those bread machines. I don't like that. It's cheating. Not as good. You can put a little, we don't want to say blood, sweat, and tears into it, but it's good to work for your meals sometimes. Alright, so I'm going to keep doing this until it gets to a nice consistency. So I think I'm going to stop the recording right now and bring you back when I'm a little closer to getting ready to knead. Good. Alright, welcome back. I've been working on this for a little bit. Now it's still kind of sticky, but I've kind of mixed the dough or the flour in and turn it out onto, I always say lightly floured surface, but it's a floured surface. And then here comes the fun part. You get to knead it. And as you knead it, you maybe add a little more flour because it gets a little sticky. Okay, but you just bring the dough towards you, then press away. All right, so again, we can give a little lesson on what glutens are. Glutens are a protein, and they give the bread elasticity. And so a whole lesson on proteins and carbs. Oh man, this is going to be great. So, but that's for another lesson. But working the dough like this gets those proteins going, gets the yeast going, gives the bread the elasticity that you kind of want to make it form up nice. So plus it's kind of fun. So do this for, I don't know, serious guys go 10 minutes or so, but 5 or 10 minutes, and you can experiment. You can do some, that's a variable you can use. You can make bread one day and knead for 2 minutes, and then next time you do it, knead for 10 minutes, see if you see any difference. Oh boy, scientific method right there. You gotta love it. You can do a lot of things with scientific method with bread. You can change up things. I tried using whole wheat bread, whole wheat flour once, and I think I'm too American to enjoy that. So it was just a little dense, a lot dense. No one liked it, so stop that. But you can mix a little bit of whole wheat flour in, and it's kind of good. So, all right. So you just keep doing this until it's about 10 minutes. So I'm going to have I'm going to shut off the video here, and then I'll catch you up just as I'm finishing up. Alright, so I've kneaded for well, 5 to 10 minutes. I got a Zoom meeting, so I only went 5 minutes. I feel a little guilty about that, but cut my fun out. At this point you got a nice dough, and it's pliable. You can see it's kind of fun. It's a little difficult to come together, but it can still be a little tacky. But my experience is you want to cut it in half and make 2 loaves. Okay, if you make 1 loaf, it's a little hard to get good cook all the way through. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then just take a minute or 2 and just knead a little bit more at that one each half. Okay, and then you're going to put it into a slightly greased bowl. Okay, so you can use just Crisco, product endorsement, I guess, or I just use cooking spray. That's a little easier, just spray it in there. If this dough gets a little tacky, sometimes it stays in the bowl. So just place it in a bowl. Take the other one, do the same thing. Okay, then you're going to find kind of a drafty, warm place. Let it rise, do its first rise. Okay, let those yeasts get working. Okay, and as they do that, they're going to produce carbon dioxide, which is going to cause it hopefully to rise. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to cover it up. You can just use a light dish towel. Okay, so it's a draft free. Put it in a warm spot. Okay, let it sit there for about 2 hours, and then I'll get back to you. All right, so it's been 2 hours. My 10 to 15 minute Zoom meeting lasted 1 hour and 37, so I'm ready to go now. All right, so here we go. Fun part. Got the dough, it's risen up a bit. Place it onto the floured board, and then we're going to punch it down, which means we're going to get rid of all that carbon dioxide which is built up. You can be as forceful if you want, you're not going to hurt anything. Then knead it out a little bit. Needless to say, I washed my hands before this. Okay, punch it down. Okay, and then it might be a little sticky, you might put a little more flour on there. And then I like to put it onto parchment paper. Okay, it makes it a little better to handle when you're about to put it in the oven. You don't have to do that. So the second loaf I have here, place it out there, punch it down, knead it out, just a little bit. Get rid of those gas bubbles, expand it. Then we're going to put it back in for a second rise, which will again be 1.5 hours to 2 hours. You can be flexible with that. But now I'll introduce what makes this more authentic. It's an open hearth bread, so it's trying to emulate what they did back when they just had wood-fired ovens, which they baked on these stones. Okay, so we have stones. So I just have rocks on this old tray, which you can see I've used for years. And then I have a round baking stone, which we'll bake the bread on. Okay. So we want these to be preheated. Okay. So what we're going to do, your oven, you got upper deck, lower deck, hopefully. Put the rocks on the lower deck. And the baking stone on the upper deck. And then we're going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And get it nice and hot. You want it in there for a while. So actually this is 1.5 hours before I'm going to actually bake the bread. And actually you could probably go less than that, but I just wanted to show you how to do that. But you want those rocks hot all the way through. If you get, later on we're going to have ice, if you get that ice on the oven doors, if you have glass, they could break. So it's a little dangerous there, but this will give it that good flavor. You can actually bake the bread on a baking sheet without the stones and so forth. It comes out fine, but I think it really gives it an authentic feel if you use the rocks and the baking stone. All right, so I'm going to stop for now, and I'll come back in about 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and we'll have the final segment. All right, so it's been a couple hours, 2 hours. And so the bread is risen a second time. The oven with the rocks and the stone has been preheated to 400 degrees. Okay, so now I'm going to bake one of the loaves. I'll take the one with parchment paper. You can see it's risen up. Okay, remember Charles' law, volume and temperature. All right, so at this point I'm going to place it on the stone, and then here's the key thing. Every 5 minutes for the first 15 minutes, that means at time 0, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and at 15 minutes I'm going to add 1 cup of ice. Okay, I'm only going to demonstrate the first time, and then at 15 minutes, then after that ice, then I'm going to lower the oven temperature to 375 and then bake for an additional 25 minutes okay, to make sure that the bread is done. So here we go. Make sure you have oven mitts, preheated stone. Place the bread on. Of course, be careful with the ice. If it gets on the oven door, you can crack the glass. And that's not a good thing. Set the timer for 5 minutes. And again, repeat the ice every 5 minutes for the first 15 minutes. Then the oven goes to 375 for 25. See you then. Okay, after 25 minutes at 375, the bread should be ready to be taken out of the oven, which I did a few minutes ago. It may not be done. If it's not, you can test it. The best test is to, well, one of the tests is to tap it, see if it's hollow, and then the best test is to take a chopstick or a knife and then puncture inside and pull out. If it doesn't stick, there's no dough on the chopstick or the knife, then it should be done. So I've already done that. Actually, I've already cut into it. So you can see the texture there is pretty good. And of course, the final analysis, butter some bread. And I've already tasted it. It is good. So, successful. Homework assignment, bake bread. Talk to you soon.